How do you review a game like Jurassic World Evolution? I'm not making this reviewing stuff easy on myself. As a park sim, it's decent and offers what you want, if maybe not the detail you're used to. Or, as a love letter to Jurassic Park and Operation Genesis, it's simply sublime, if a little rough. Jurassic World Evolution has a single player mode and a sandbox island. The single player mode consists of 5 islands, each with their own separate budget and shortcomings, be it the island itself is small, or it starts you in debt. Throughout the mode, you'll be tasked with getting your island to 5 stars and moving on to the next one, each having missions from 3 different divisions in the game, which are science, security, and entertainment. Doing these missions, or contracts, grants rewards such as money or dinosaur genomes. Do enough for one division, and you'll gain reputation, which in turn unlocks more rewards, such as building upgrades or fossil sites. Favour one too much, and the other will sabotage your park in a surprisingly varied amount of ways, such as shutting down every generator so the power goes out, breaking all the gates so the dinosaurs can run free and they have to be fixed before they can be closed again. It's certainly a pain, and if you think hard about it, it doesn't make too much sense for science or entertainment to sabotage a park, but it's a nice break in the gameplay, and the minute the sign lights up at the top of the screen to say, oh shit, it's about to break loose, you actually care. Some contracts given can absolutely contradict the ideology of the division that gives it to you, like security caring about a herbivore genome being uncovered because why? Or entertainment wanting you to sell 4 fossils that you find. It's just, sometimes some of the contracts are the same, just under a different heading, but the missions themselves do a better job of carrying out what these divisions represent. Each island has 1 mission per these divisions, and they're normally quite more bigger in scale. These can all be found directly in the hub menu. From here you can also get clear and obvious feedback about the island you're currently on, making it easy and simple to see what you need to build to improve said island. All of the contracts mentioned are all fully voice acted, as well as full narration at certain points from Ian Malcolm himself. Even Dr. Wu makes an appearance, and he's much of a dick as he is in the films. The missions and contracts are varied enough to keep you engaging and rewarding enough to keep you doing them, be it a quick influx of cash or reputation boost. The missions themselves are nice and challenging, often turning around upside down to get you to achieve it, forcing you to think on your feet a lot of the time and be familiar with what's where in your park. So when shit hits the fan, you need to be able to respond quickly. Thankfully, at least on the PS4 version, I'm happy to report the game runs smoothly for the most part and is very responsive in its controls, again, for the most part. There's an occasional lack of response for the game's side toolbar and buttons not registering, so it just takes another hit and it works. The button assignments all make sense though, and the hotkeys and options given to you give you 100% control over what you want to build and where. L1 and R1 will bring up the ACU and ranger stations respectively. These are your bread and butter, and without them your island will descend into an island of death and just carnage, and every other Jurassic Park that's come before it. You can manually take control of either and tranquilize the dinosaur with the ACU, or carry out medial tasks with the ranger, such as feed a resupply or medicate a dino, or you can assign them the tasks and they will do so of their own accord. For me personally, doing more than 3 tasks at once for them to do results in 1 or 2 just not being done. I frequently tell them to resupply 3 feeders or fix a fence then heal a dino, and they just forget to heal the dino just because it's quite far away, or just little things like that. It's a little annoying. If you're not paying attention, it could cost you a dinosaur's life or your park's safety. Another thing worth noting, for the console version at least, is a sudden drop in frame rate and sudden freeze. These promptly sort themselves out after maybe 2 to 3 seconds, so it's not a huge issue, but worth pointing out. But I've had not one hard crash, and 99% of the time the game runs perfectly smooth and the controls and menus are responsive. Another quick side note glitch is also when you tranquilize a dinosaur, at least on my full experience. You do this so you can move it around your park or to stop it eating people. For me at least, the dinosaurs never wake up unless you move them. They get ill and they die while asleep, and they just don't wake up, so you have to be aware that a dinosaur may be tranquilized inside. If you tranquilize a dinosaur in its own enclosure and don't move it into the same enclosure, just slightly to the left, it won't wake up, so it's just something to be aware of. Evolution brings with it a level of challenge I was not expecting, so much so that I found myself barely even touching the sandbox mode, which, as a fact, has items available that you unlock in the single player. The more you do, the more you have. Each island is a challenge, and breaking the high number profit per minute on each island is a struggle, but one that never really feels unfair. I find myself perfecting and editing an island before I even move on to the next one. Money doesn't carry over to your other islands, and this is a fantastic idea. All your hard work building upwards of 100 million on each island means nothing going into the next one. This makes each island its own and separate from one another. This would break the game if you could carry it over, and would fast forward the 4 rounds after the first, to the point of why bother including them. A quick little tip: the research that you unlock on the later islands can be completed in previous islands' research centres, so the island you start with that now has 120 million, use that to expedition and to do your research, and you'll unlock the genome for the next island. I was also worried when I was told the size of the islands, and that all of them, after the first one, are really, really small. I'm happy to report that besides the 4th one, which, fuck that island, all the islands are bigger than they appear. A simple press of the triangle button will bring up an island overview and show you the outline of said island. Remove all the trees, flatten the ground using the game's basic but welcome landscaping tools, and you've got yourself so much more space you didn't even know you had. You'll be surprised at how you envision an island going and how it actually turns out, how you can fit things in certain ways. I find my island always changing, and I'm okay with that. Another level of challenge that I didn't think was intended was the game's lack of tutorial in the traditional sense. In one hand, yes, it's refreshing to be unshackled from the minute go, but some things could have been made a bit clearer at times, such as objectives or how certain things work. Like power, for example. It could just be me, fully, not playing a park sim in so long, but I couldn't grasp the power system at first, and once you start getting confused with all the pylons connecting to one another, it's not exactly clear sometimes what power goes to where. FYI, a single power station has a limit output. Each building you construct has a power requirement. These are powered by substations, which connect to the power station via pylons. The substation has a circle area of effect that can be used. Anything outside the circle doesn't get power to it. Each building has 2 to 3 upgrade slots for things like quicker deployment or better success rate. Adding these on, however, not only costs money but also more power than originally used. So, quick tip about power stations: know your pylons, and it's best to have a power station for one area and then another one for another area instead of having it all over the park. A slight issue I will point out is that sometimes dinosaurs, like individual ones, not the general species, will just constantly try to get out for no reason. Like, everyone else will be comfortable, but this one guy won't be, or the power will go out again for absolutely no reason. And then all the feeders need topping up, and then half the dinosaurs need medicating as they've contracted a cold. Things tend to snowball out of nowhere on this game, and with little to no warning. Most of the time it's fine, but a couple of times it's like it can't be avoided, and it almost presents like an almost forced conflict during the in-between quiet moments when you're trying to get everything to where it is. The landscaping tools I mentioned earlier can be a godsend, but they can also be infuriating at times. Want that one tree removing? No. Want to flatten the very edge of the boundary where you can build to fit that building on? Nope. It's not often clear why a building won't construct despite the game telling you what's wrong. You just can't see it. But like I said before, have a plan in advance. Don't try to do too much too quick on the later rounds, and you'll be fine. Graphically, the game in my opinion looks great for both a park sim and a game in general, with rare, if any, screen glitches such as tearing or pop-ins. The colours work really well together. The rain looks amazing, and when the sun shines on your park and thousands of people walking around it all looks great, and you can't help but smile. Zooming down to ground level looks better than I expected for sure, but of course a lot of the guests do look the same, but that's to be expected on a game like this. Now, I've made you wait 8 minutes into this review before even talking about the dinosaurs, but this game would just be a good park sim without the detail you might want, and that's the dinosaurs. Each dinosaur is created and behaves how you expect it to. They look and sound incredible. These are easily the best looking and sounding dinosaurs that have been brought to gaming. They're brought to life with really great animation and each with their own unique sound. You quickly have a favourite, either a new one or one we've all seen. And yes, the T-Rex has its roar, and yes, the raptors are terrifying and sound equally as scary. Each breed of dino brings its own traits and needs. Majority of herbivores can live with one another, but get too confident and the Triceratops will break out because it's too crowded. Or an Ankylosaurus will just break out because it's just a piece of shit dinosaur. It's about balance. Have too many raptors and they try to escape. Have the right amount and no more, they'll just talk to each other. Don't have enough trees for a Brachiosaurus and you bet every time he's going to bust his fence and make a run for it. These can be made even more unpredictable with the game's surprisingly deep genome system. Each island gets a fossil and an expedition centre. These open more sites as you progress through the single player, and you send out a team to find fossils on that certain section. These in turn bring back the fossils, which increase the genome, and therefore the viability of an incubation. have a low percentage genome, the dino isn't guaranteed to even survive the creation process. Unlocking 100% of a genome not only gives you guarantee of success, but it also unlocks the option to go in-depth and change a dino's DNA, giving them certain enhancements, be it visual, or traits such as more aggression or a longer lifespan. As you alter the genome, the viability percentage can go down, so it's all about risk-reward. Once you have enough money, you can really take the risk and you can afford to just try and breed low-level dinosaurs. But at the early stages, it's a dangerous risk to blow your money on a dino that might not even hatch. Yes, you can add upgrades to the lab to improve the success rate, but there's still that risk. The game also brings with it a level of freedom with the dinos I wasn't expecting. I'd only seen footage of them running people over, but make no mistake, the raptors, they hunt. The T-Rex eats people. The game lets you do that. Sure, it will tell you to fix the broken fence as to why they got out, but it won't force you. Your stars and rain will go down, but you can let it all pan out. If you want a death island with raptors and about 8,000 guests, go for it. The replayability is excellent, and coupled with the amount of dinosaurs, you can easily do an island 1,000 different ways with new layouts and dinosaurs. You can tell the game was made with a love for the brand and a care for the property they have been trusted with. Quotes from the films, the music, and then the score, ripped right out of the films and swelling up as often as you hoped it would. Even the amount of dinosaurs is impressive here, a great variety of both herbivores and carnivores, a DLC that's just released for free, adding 5 more, with the promise of more for free in the future, and possibility of sea and air dinosaurs. I may be biased here, Jurassic Park is one of my favourite films of all time. Dinosaurs still hold a place in my heart. I don't even know why. Do a lot of people know why? But a few glitches which can hinder your progress slightly and performance issues aside, this game is wonderful. It somehow manages to capture that feeling of seeing the film for the first time while also making you invested in each and every island with its fairly easy and deep management options. Operation Genesis, released 15 years ago. That game is held on such a high pedestal that any game after it couldn't come close. Yet Frontier Games, with a level of love and great game development that, like the dinosaurs you create, have proven that life finds a way. If they support this game, then I'm happy if we have to wait another 15 years. Jurassic World Evolution gets a 9 out of 10.